Hello YouTube. This is perhaps the very first time we've met because this is the Darktable video that you should probably watch first of mine. I've done a lot of Darktable videos and I realized recently that they're all geared towards the person who kind of knows what they're doing in Darktable. They're edit videos showing some fairly medium level edits, but what if you've just installed Darktable for the first time on Windows, Mac, or Linux? This is what you see. So the purpose of this video is to really talk about some of the concepts going on under the surface here, and to get you to a point where you can import some images, understand the very least you need to understand to edit an image, and export that image to use as something else. Now, Darktable is really a tool that I think is mostly used for raw edits, although it can be used on JPEGs, but the real power of it is being able to manipulate the massive amounts of data in a raw image. So I'm thinking of it as a raw image, and I'm talking about raw imaging editing here and then exporting to JPEG. And what we're going to cover here is we're going to talk about some of the concepts. But say you are coming to Darktable from Adobe products. So let's put this in context. Or say you currently use something like Photoshop for your raw edits. Where does Darktable fit in this spectrum? Say Camera Raw or Lightroom and Photoshop. Where does it fit in that spectrum? Well, really, I think of Darktable as doing everything that Lightroom and Camera Raw can do and more. If you look at some of my more detailed videos, you'll see that when I export something out of Darktable, I'll bring it into something like GIMP. I'm a Linux user, so I don't use Photoshop. I don't have Photoshop. And I will be doing tiny modifications. I might be removing blemishes or photoshopping light stands out of the background. But most of what I think in many scenarios, most of what is Darktable does more than most raw editors. It is really super powerful. I'm not going to go into everything it can do in this video. This is really about being able to switch on Darktable for the first time and work out what the hell you're doing. So here we are. Let's get some images into Darktable and let's talk about what it's really doing. Now, if you think of importing, what you're not doing here is taking a bunch of images and putting them somewhere else. This is not like importing something into your camera roll on a Mac. This is not like this. Let me show you. So let me split the screen here. Here are a bunch of files, NEF files, which is the raw for Nikon, and they're in a folder called Lesson 1. When I hit import, I am not moving them anywhere. I'm doing nothing but reading those files. Darktable will never change these files. So I'm going to open this import tab. I'm going to go to that folder. And when I open that, I didn't go far enough. Yeah, I did. So what you see is for every single file, we have an associated XMP file, which we call a sidecar file. Now this file for every single image is effectively a list of what we have done with it in Darktable. So in Darktable, if you edit a file, make modifications, change the exposure, crop it, add a vignette, do color changes, all of those things are just statements of, hey, do this, then do this, then do this, then do this, then do this. So when we work on a file, this will just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and this is associated with that raw file. So we're never actually overwriting that raw file, and this is a super important concept to understand. We're building a stack of changes to that image using Darktable. So going back to our Darktable, we really have two conceptual main areas of Darktable. We have the light table, which is what we're looking at here, and we have the darkroom. And here's why it's named like that. Think of old school photographer who has taken a bunch of photos and they've developed the negatives or they've developed slides. Think of this as them looking at all of those slides on a light table and evaluating what they want to do. Do they want to keep this one? Do they want to work on that one? Which are the good ones? Which are the bad ones? And now I can zoom in and out and see these at a different resolution all the way up to full size. The concept then continues that for any single image that we like on the light table, we pick it up and we take it into the darkroom, which is where we actually process and expose that image. And we're going to do that with an image in a second, but let's look at all of the powerful things we can do in light table. So we can zoom in. I'm using Control and mouse wheel, or here it is by slider. I can sort these by file name or by various things, which won't change it right now because we haven't done anything. I can do it in reverse order, or I can do it in normal order or reverse order, but there's much more to it than that. See, right now we are viewing all. Also notice that this is a 1-star image, which is the default for everything being imported. Let's say I want to take one of these images, pick one I like. Let's say I like them all. Let's say this one, make that a 2-star. I did that by clicking on it. I could also press number 2 on the keyboard. See if I press 1, 3, 4, 2. Then if I go up here and say I only want to see 2 stars, we get only that one. Or if I only want to see, and this is actually 2 or more, so you can change that also. So that's equal to 2 stars. That's anything equal to 1 star. So we're seeing every single image except the one I made it 2. If I say greater than or equal to 1 star, it's brought in back that 2-star image. So why is this important? This is really important because here we have 470 files. This is Janelle Tajan. She's a Denver, Colorado Springs model. Definitely look her up. So kudos to her. This is an early shoot of mine that I really enjoy, and I'm going to use it over and over again in these tutorials. So why is this useful? Well, I can go through all of these, and I've got other, if you look at my Darktable workflow videos, you'll see this in more detail. But you can say, this is a 1, this is a 2, this is a 3. You can basically go through all of these and make all of the ones that you think you might work on a 2, and then flip to just show your 2s, and all of a sudden you're going from 470 images that's overwhelming down to maybe 100 or 50 or 20 that you're actually going to work on. Then you could go down to 100, then go through them again and take some to 3-star, and then when you actually work on them and modify them, make them a 4-star, and when you actually export them, make them a 5-star. So it's all about organization. The other way you can organize files is function keys, add a color. That's F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you can toggle on and off these colors, which is useful. For example, I will go through and I will find, say it's a studio shoot like this, and some are shot at f8 and some are shot at f1.8. I'll go through and tag all the f1.8s as a different color. So that's my way of organizing things. So I could take multiple here. I did a shift click and then shift click, selected all of those. I can make all of those red. If I make, let's say I made these, some of these red, and then I went up and ordered by color label, then the ones with any color label will be at the top. Likewise, order by star, by rating, we'll put the ones that have any kind of rating at the top. So there's our 2-star. So let's take those color labels off again. So it's very, very powerful. This light table is a very powerful way to help you organize photos and more, which I'm going to show you. The other main role of it is, so I've said that all the edits don't actually make changes to the NEF files. It's all about working on NEF files and then exporting the result as some file format. So let's just use the default settings, and I'm going to export that file. And by default, it is putting it in a folder called Darktable Exported, right there in the same folder as we were. And the super powerful thing is, so it's actually visible here. So you can understand why it's putting it there. And you can use all of these tags to customize this for your own desires. You can save it as, like you can see there, minute, second, XF year, all kinds of stuff. Or you can put it in a specific folder, or you can make it a specific file name. I mean, all kinds of really cool stuff. Personally, I put my key for Honey for photography as part of the file name, and then the original file name. But you can do all kinds of stuff. You can apply styles, which can include watermarks. You can make different qualities. You can auto resize. You can store lots of things as different styles. So a whole bunch of stuff. Super powerful module, but we're not going to go into that module right now. What we're going to do is we're going to edit this photo. So far let's recap. We've used over here, we've used import block to import a folder, and that sucked in all the NEFs. We made one of them 2-star. We've played around a little bit there, and now we're going to actually take something into the Darkroom. So let's choose an image. If I double click this image, it'll go straight to the Darkroom. Let's choose that one. Now let's choose one of these bright ones. Let's choose that one. So I could double click, or I can go up here and click Darkroom. And now we're in a completely different module. You see the light table is still across the bottom. And you can still do the same kind of stuff up here to modify that light table. But really what we're going to talk about now is this Darkroom. We've got two things going on here. Over here are all of the modules that can affect that image. And over here are more overview things, like the information about the shop. So there are a lot of modules in Darkroom, in Darktable and the Darkroom. By default, which is what this is we have some groups, similar groups like lighting. I don't know what that basic group, color related, correction group, effects group. This shows everything that is on right now, and there are some on by default. So it takes the white balance from the camera, for example, and by default it will apply a curve based on what it finds. So, which you can keep or leave, but that is beyond the scope of this video. If you want to see all of the modules available, you click more modules, and you'll see there are some dark here and there are some gray. And these cycle through on a click. It's pretty much hidden, added to its group up here, and another click adds it to the favorites group. which is here. Now, personally, I've added a whole bunch to my favorite group, and those are the ones that I use all the time. So if you see me scrambling around here, because I forget where they actually are in these normal groups. But let's do a super fast edit on this photo. So histogram, this is clearly underexposed. So I am going to use the exposure module to make it brighter. Now, how much brighter do I want it? I'm going to switch on this over underexposure indicator, which shows blue coming in for underexposed and red coming in for overexposed. And my personal style is I bring things up until I just get some overexposed on my primary focus of the image, which is the face. Bringing those darks up a little bit there too. Now there's a whole bunch of things about these modules which I'm not going to go into. I'm just doing the absolute basics here, but I'm going to make this photo kind of a little bit the way I want it. I'm going to crop it. I like rule of thirds guides, and I'm going to make this kind of a 10 by 8 shape. Then I can just kind of do that as I wish, but I'm going to crop that about there. I'm going to add a vignette, and just to show you some of the power of Darktable, I'm going to use this split toning color correction module to do a treatment like that. So that's the bare minimum of getting that photo kind of where I want it to go. I'm going to increase the contrast a bit, a little bit more saturation. Then I'm going to bring the exposure down because that's now looking all a little bit hot to about there. And that's my edit. So remember, this is doing absolutely nothing to my raw file. What it's doing is creating a stack of things I've done, all the way from where it was originally to the things that were automatically done to it by the software, my exposure fix, my crop, my vignette, my color correction, my contrast and saturation, my overexposure. So this is our history stack. Also super important. Absolutely nothing has been done to the net file. All of these steps that I've done have been written to that sidecar file, whichever one it is. In fact, no, I'm not complicated. We could find that sidecar file and I could show you, but that's what's going on here. So I could go to another image down here. Currently working on that one. I could go to that one and double click. There's lots of things I can do, but here I'm going to go back to Darktable, and we now see that the thumbnail of this shows it's different. Now here's where things get really awesome, and this is something that you do in other raw tools like Lightroom 2. But if we look at our history stack tab over here, I select that image and I copy the history stack. These are all of the modules that were used in the making of this edit. So if I copy that and I paste all of those, boom, we have the same edit on another photo, or another 4 photos. If we wanted to say that image, obviously the crop will be wrong, so I would paste without the crop, and I get the same impact. I can do that. Paste all is basically going to paste everything that was last selected, so it's the same as paste. Right now when I do paste all, it will paste except that crop and rotate in the orientation. So I'll paste all, and wow, now look, we have 86 images that have been somewhat modified and have that same edit. So imagine doing that in Photoshop. So we've made the same changes to all of those files. Now it doesn't mean they're all perfect, because they all have slight variations. But typically what I'll do is I'll do that on each chunk of file, and then I'll go through and star the ones that I really want to work on and go up to 2, and then go into each of them and make sure that there's not something else I should do. Like, I might want to crop it differently, or I might want to fix that looks a little bit underexposed in the face, so on that one I probably want to bring it up a little bit more and do a crop. But you see what I mean. I might then go back and say, okay, that one is now a better starting point for copy all of that stuff and paste it all on that one, because we're getting closer to where we want to go. So as you see now, we're working on raw files in Darkroom, but we're also working on raw files in bulk. But then what happens? We actually want to use these images, we actually want to share them with the world, so we have to export them. So maybe I want to work with these 10. Click export, and here they are going into exported. And these are 90% or whatever that setting was. So they're 95% quality, they're an 8-bit JPEG. They haven't been resized or anything. These are super useful things you can do. I'm really trying really hard not to deep dive into anything specific. My real purpose is here for anybody who's opening Darktable for the first time, that it makes total sense. So let's recap that. We're 22 minutes in. Didn't feel like 22 minutes. So let's recap. I've used the import block over here. I don't know what it's called, module maybe? Import module. I selected a folder, and I can do it again. It's lesson 1. Open. And now what I just did behind the scenes is it's rechecking this. So if more files were added to that, they would now show up. But it's done 2 things. It's looked at all the raw files, and it's also looked at all the sidecar files. And if something has a sidecar file, then it's basing the thumbnail on the modifications that have already happened. Then what we talked about is actually organizing photos. So for example, I just exported those 10, so I might hit the 5 star, but the 5 key to say these are all 5 stars. And it is now organized those all as 5 stars, because this is really powerful for organization. We can sort by various things. We can show only specific sets. Then we can take any file, we can take it into the Darkroom, we can modify it, we can use any number of modules to get the effect we want. And this is where Darktable is like stupidly powerful. These modules are just insane. So we can do a quick edit. We can go back out to Lightroom. We can take those settings, and we can paste that stack onto similar images, and we have similar things. We can then export them either individually or en masse, and we have JPEGs. So the concepts. Darktable is a raw editor, but in my experience, you can do more with it than most raw editors, because some of the modules are crazy. Look at my videos, look at Harry Durgan's videos. Look at some advanced editing videos. I mean, if you look at Harry, I think it's Harry Durgan. They blow my mind. They absolutely melt my face. The level of details that he knows this product and the things he does with this product at a raw file level that people would normally do in Photoshop. And why is that good? Well, it's good in that everything here is just a history of things. And if we don't like them, we can go change them. For example, even though this is sequential, let's see, the base curve change, let's do the vignette. The vignette change happened 6 out of way back there, but we can still go back and remove that vignette, and it doesn't impact the fact that we did things since the vignette that still are the same. So super powerful. Another suggestion I have for you is, if you're a Facebook user, get on the user group Darktable Unofficial. Search for Darktable Unofficial, and that is a growing group of people like me who are passionate about this product. People of various levels, and in fact, I'm making this video today because somebody said, I don't know where to start. So join that group. Become a part of the discussion. If you have specific questions, either ask them there or ask them in the comments here. Please like and subscribe. I do an edit video weekly, which shows some of the more advanced stuff, and it is advanced stuff. Like, some of the stuff you can do with this is just nuts. And I don't know where the modules are because I have everything in my favorites. But I hope that this has given you the confidence to just get going with Darktable, and I'm going to keep doing some really kind of beginner, basic, conceptual videos. Well, I will if you tell me that this is useful. So tell me that this really understanding conceptual and really kind of first couple of days working with Darktable are useful videos, and I'll make more. How about that for you? If you like my stuff, Kiefer Honeyford Photography on Instagram, or KieferHoneyfordPhotography.com is where I live. Same on Facebook. It's Keifer Photography. I don't have an internet connection right now, but yeah, I do. This is my YouTube channel. So everything in here that you see is Darktable, because that's all I use, because I'm an open source guy. I do use Portrait Pro, which is not open source, and I use GIMP. So please, if you like my work, follow me there. And I think that's all I've got. So have a good one. Bye.